Over the past month, reports of mysterious drones buzzing over New Jersey and other locations have captured the public's attention and unsettled many residents. Despite sightings by thousands of people, no satisfying explanation has been offered by government officials who have used weasel words that seem to dance around their own involvement without saying so directly. If you're anything like me, this lack of transparency triggers the survivalist instinct to question, research, and prepare. It also begs the question, will we one day be numb to a swarm of drones flying overhead? Is this event some kind of predictive programming or psyop? Hello, fellow mutants. According to reports, these drones have been flying above northern New Jersey since mid-November. The sightings have led to widespread concern, sightings in other locations, and residents left wondering who or what is behind them. Here's the kicker. Senior U.S. officials have confirmed that the drones are not operating illegally. That raises a critical question. If it's legal, then who is running the show and why? Are they meant to monitor citizens or to be used for war overseas? I've seen some comments related to the question of monitoring brushed off with comments such as, "We all carry smartphones that can be tracked and detected. They don't need drones to tell them what the public is up to." While that is true, what if an insurgent group or dissidents unhappy with our current or future government wanted to do something about it? Chances are, if they were smart, they would go analog and ditch the smartphones. If so, an eye in the sky, or many, might make sense if you were intent on clamping down on such people. A recent call hosted by senior Biden administration officials who included representatives from the FBI, FAA, NSC, DHS, and DoD aimed to address concerns. Instead of clarity, officials downplayed public unease, calling it a slight overreaction. Translation: move along, nothing to see here. But is that really the case? Why are they tight-lipped about the origins of these drones? National Security spokesperson John Kirby's remarks added another layer to the puzzle. He suggested that the drones are likely part of a legal classified operation, possibly a test of evasion or detection technologies in urban environments. Kirby's statement should give us pause. If this is a test, why choose one of the most densely populated areas in the country, and why keep it under wraps? Former CIA officer and defense analyst Laura Ballman weighed in during an interview on Fox News, asserting that the drones are unlikely to be tied to the CIA given their domestic operational limits. Instead, she speculated that the drones may belong to a classified U.S. operation testing urban detection systems. It is true that it seems unlikely that FAA lighting on many of the spotted drones would need to be a part of a military drone intended for operations overseas, however. Blinking lights would seem to be antithetical to the purpose of such drones. Ballman's theory, however, suggests that these operations are intentional and sanctioned. If true, it implies that the U.S. government is deliberately running experiments in our backyard without informing the public. If it's not the government, then we're dealing with an entirely different and potentially more dangerous scenario: foreign actors testing their capabilities. But back to what I suggested at the outset of this video. What if this is all some sort of predictive programming, and what does that even mean? First described and proposed by researcher Alan Watt, he defined predictive programming as a subtle form of psychological conditioning provided by the media to acquaint the public with planned societal changes to be implemented by our leaders. If and when these changes are put through, the public will already be familiarized with them and will accept them as natural progressions, thus lessening possible public resistance and commotion. What does this mean for you? For survivalists and fellow mutants, this story is a glaring reminder of why we prepare. Drones are not just tools for Amazon deliveries or photography. They are increasingly becoming instruments of surveillance, warfare, and control. Why would our government and their media operatives want to program the public to accept this? It's a good question. Here are some considerations. Urban testing zones. If the government is testing detection or evasion tech, it means our cities are potential battlegrounds for high-tech experimentation. This underscores the importance of staying alert to unusual activity in your area. Even if, as they say, you've done nothing wrong, that doesn't mean your government won't someday declare you an enemy of the state for something as innocent as a post on social media. In the UK, you can end up in jail for saying the wrong things online. What if a future administration decides that, in their own words and by their own definition, spreading misinformation online is justification for a pre-dawn raid on your home? Would a drone hovering nearby be a cause of concern then? A lack of transparency. The government's refusal to provide clear answers should concern all of us. History has shown that when transparency is absent, agendas often lurk in the shadows. The cycle we've seen to date has been deny something, followed by admitting the truth of it but downplaying the importance, to finally stating that the something in question is not only happening, but that it is actually good for you. I can imagine the drone story evolving to its pre-programmed conclusion, which is that we need our drones in the skies to keep us safe and for the good of, and I quote, our democracy. Preparing for surveillance. Whether it's the government or private entities, drone technology is advancing rapidly. This technology can be used to monitor your movements, disrupt communications, or worse. Investing in counter-surveillance tools and understanding how to operate in drone-monitored environments, whether it's our own government or perhaps some sort of Red Dawn type foreign raid, are becoming essential survival skills. This is an area that most survivalists have likely considered science fantasy until just recently, so it's definitely something to look into if the idea of SUV-sized drones hovering near your bug-out property is a concern. I won't claim to be an expert on how to shroud your activities, but it is a topic worth exploring, for sure. That said, don't go too deep down the rabbit hole. Learn to discern between reasonable speculation and outright nutty conspiracies, even if they are enjoyable. Perhaps some of you would lump this video into the latter. I personally think that once you start getting into talk of aliens and the supernatural, that's where I draw a line. It's fine to listen to reruns of Art Bell's Coast to Coast for enjoyment, but I am not anticipating the convergence of Nibiru with these drones. No, I think the truth is more likely somewhere along the lines of defense contractors conducting research with the goal of attaining lucrative deals, and politicians who get a thrill up their leg at the idea of controlling the unruly masses. There is no doubt that some political forces see populist uprisings, whether they be domestic or overseas, as things that need to be tamped down to keep themselves, or their elite friends, in power. What can you do? Stay informed. Monitor local trusted sources of news and online sources for updates. Awareness is your first line of defense. Know the law. Understand the rules around drone usage in your area. This knowledge can help you differentiate between legal activity and potential threats. Harden your location. Consider adding reflective materials, netting, or jammers to your property to protect your privacy from unwanted drone surveillance. Build community awareness. Share information with like-minded individuals. A well-informed community is harder to manipulate or control. While I am personally not a fan of commune-like mags or mutual assistant groups, due in part to the way I was raised in places where we didn't have much social interaction with neighbors, where my father sat with his books and hobbies and his backyard garden and rarely dealt with others outside of work, and because I think too much concentration of well-prepared people in one place can make your area a target, I do see the value in having connections of some sort. Maybe this is someone you talk to in another county via shortwave radio, or a fellow mutant on the internet. Gather your preps and copper rounds. Have what you need to survive and a little something extra for barter. Don't dip into your vital preps like food or water for barter. And I've said it before about using armaments for trade unless you want to set yourself up like the local Burt Gummer can draw unwanted attention. I like the idea of shiny copper rounds for small barter trade because they aren't likely to drive someone to the point where they'd want to rob me over them. A bag of rice, on the other hand, might imply that I have more back home to spare. Whether these drones are part of a classified U.S. operation, foreign reconnaissance, or something else entirely, the events that began in New Jersey highlight the growing role of drones in our modern society. They're a wake-up call for those of us who value privacy, security, and autonomy. The truth is out there. We just might not like what we find. Stay vigilant, stay prepared, and don't let the noise drown out your instincts. Well, that's all I have for today. Until next time, it's Copper Mutant, signing out.